Sick. Cool. Alright, now let's shut up.
I refuse to shut up. I'm gonna piss and shit into my mic for the next 25 minutes.
Alright, stuff we've seen before.
Hello and welcome to this, the very first episode of Night City Wire, a brand new series from us at
Oh, they have the
CD
Alpha
Projekt
Kit in the
Red,
background.
where we'll be talking about all things Cyberpunk 2077. For today's episode, we'll be starting with a brand new trailer. One of our developers will be joining us to help unpack everything you're going to see. We'll have some news, an announcement about a secret collaboration. We'll be taking a look at some brain dance gameplay and welcoming back our developers.
V and
just to have
Tekken,
a
here we
chat
go.
about everything you're going to see. But there is one more thing.
V in Persona 5 Royal.
I've been getting hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077, and when this episode finishes, you'll be able to go and check out exactly what they thought. So, let's get started. It is time to take a look at our brand new trailer, and after that, our lead quest designer Pavel Sasko will be joining us, because I've got a feeling you're going to have a few questions after watching this. So,
Will I though? Will I have a few questions? Nudity!
Love this town. The city of endless opportunity. Ready to get your cherry popped? Yeah, come on. City like any other. Just bigger.
Oh, they're like, man, people are complaining we really have to do raining night scenes.
Legends are born here. The major leagues. We're only here because Dex is pulling the strings. Doubt that puts us in the same league as them. But we are. They just don't know it yet. But if you got the cojones and you know how to use them, you can do damn near anything. Unless you catch a bull. Even then, you go out with a bang, right? You know, you can make heaps more eddies as a motivational speaker.
Yo, Mr. V, a pleasure.
So what's the gig, Dex? You meant to come out in one piece? How about we go over the plan?
There's this prototype tech, a biochip to be precise. Job's to grab it.
Guessing it belongs to a corp.
Arasaka.
We're robbing some heavy hitters.
Thought you could blackmail me, fucker?
High risk, high reward. First rule of the afterlife.
Ka-ching, baby.
Goes without saying, we do this on the hush. Ideally, no bodies, not a one.
Sounds simple enough. He's lead, assholes!
Is it gonna be dangerous?
Don't you worry, mi amor. We're bulletproof. Get your ass moving now!
What the fuck just happened in there?
Can't stop digging Night City. Fucking major leagues. Happy now, Jackie? Yep, that's fucking high! Time to bail!
Oh my god, we're so fucked.
Dex, what the fuck?
Can't risk it, V.
And you, who are you? Fuck.
Big Keanu.
Much Reeves.
So the trailer contains footage from the game's prologue only, but there was an awful lot in it. So, Pavel, why don't you try and help us unpack everything that we just saw?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, I can try. So, what you have just seen is only the prologue of the game. So that awesome stuff
It's
is
a
only
fucking
happening
crazy long
in the
prologue.
first few quests. What the trailer shows you
I was about to say, because I mean, we watched that one dude die in that cinematic trailer. So like, I was just of the assumption that that is the beginning of the game, and that was a lot of stuff
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be multiple
where this dude was
quests.
around.
trying to reach out for something that is very precious.
This looks like they're going for Cyberpunk Grand Theft Auto.
Gateway to eternal life. Jackie introduces you to
Well, I mean,
Fixer-
That's
kind
the
of-
feel.
That's
the
kind of what it
feel.
is.
Yeah.
Social ladder of Cyberpunk.
I mean, even Cyberpunk itself. I did like they was showing him in corpo gear too, so maybe.
I like the first-person vomiting. Not enough of that in video games.
True.
I agree. That's what I'm excited for.
First there was Scum, now there's Cyberpunk.
Mhm.
And customizing my dick size or my pussy lip.
Really cool things in this trailer, and there's a few that I would
How come they didn't show that in the
say
trailer? What's up with that?
for the people at home. So let's start with talking about a gang called the Mox. Now, we see a few flashes of them in this trailer. I personally think they're really cool and one of my favorites, but can you give us a little bit more information about them?
Oh yes, so the Mox is one of the gangs that player is going to interact with throughout the game. The Mox is the gang that has been formed in 2076 after death of Elizabeth Borden. She was called Lizzie. Now, she was an owner of a brothel and former sex worker, and she was protecting working guys and girls from harassment.
I like how scummy they're
from
getting.
abuse,
It's very
and
good.
the gang is
Mhm.
really continuing
Like, you
to
see
push
people
it,
ODing and shit,
you're going to
and
interact with
prostitutes.
that gang,
That's
meet multiple different NPCs,
it's all I ever wanted.
and understand what they are all about.
So earlier on, you did mention a 7th district, a place called the Badlands. Now, we saw a few shots of this in the trailer, but I'd love for you to give us a bit more detail about the district outside of the city walls.
Okay, so the Badlands is this like dead, dried out space going around the whole Night City. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse that space in your car or motorcycle. This is a space that is inhabited by the nomads. Nomads are living in different families and they are traveling across that space in convoys made out of the cars and motorcycles. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse and access different type of open world content that has been prepared specifically for you to get that awesome feel of the Badlands as an arena.
That's kind of cool. You get two like very different,
Yeah, there's a
extremely
section that is
different areas.
just Mad Max.
I mean, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Okay, so that big dude, that was Adam Smasher. He has been introduced in pen and paper in Cyberpunk 2020 by our senpai Mike Pondsmith. Adam
love you, Mike.
Smasher is a fully converted cyborg. He was always a loyalist of Arasaka. And time has changed, and in 2077 he had to find his own space in Night City, but to find out you'll have to play the game.
In this trailer, we do see some flashes of a Ripper doc called Victor Vector. I think if people have watched our previous gameplays, they might remember him. But I'd really like for you to give the people at home some more information about what Ripper docs are and how they'll be interacting with them when they play Cyberpunk.
So Reaper dogs in our game, they are surgeons. They are like a specific type of a job in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. They are accustomed and specialized in replacing limbs to the metal ones. They can basically update your body, enhance your body, change you into this walking war machine. And as a player, you are going to meet different kind of Reaper dogs in the game, craft your own relationship with them. Some of them are like important characters for a story. Through that, you will invest eddies that you're gathering to turn your body into this tool that allows you to survive on the streets of Night City.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining us. I know you'll be back later in the episode because you're going to be helping us to analyze the Braindance gameplay. But before that,
The what, huh?
we do have some news to share.
The
Brain
brain dance gameplay. Come on, dog.
Hacking. It's what
That's a really good name for hacking.
To play it on Xbox Series X when the console launches.
At least I'm speculating that's hacking.
Will be the same for PlayStation players as well. If you pick up Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4, you'll also be able to play it on PlayStation 5 when the console launches. And that's
Oh hey,
it.
I guess
There
Sony
will
has
be a
Game
free
Pass.
upgrade for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, but we'll have more details on that soon.
Tonight City.
Before we reveal our first look at the Braindance gameplay,
I think this is the only game where they've said that's a thing.
for a chat. There is just one more thing we want to announce. Something that we've been working on in secret for a while. We are very excited to announce
What?
a partnership with Studio Trigger and Netflix to bring you Cyberpunk Edgerunners, a standalone anime set in the cyberpunk.
Anime.
I'm gonna watch the
Fuck yeah.
shit out of this.
Yeah.
Edgerunners is due to launch in 2022, but for some more information, let's go to the team in Tokyo.
Wait, did they just say this is
2020?
due to launch in 2022?
Yep.
Wow.
My name is Saya Elder. I am the Japan-based producer for Cyberpunk Edgerunners. What I do basically on this project is that I am a fixer, to put it in the words of the Cyberpunk universe.
Oh, ho, ho,
We
ho.
are a game company. We are a bunch of nerds, and wherever there are nerds, there's going to be anime fans. So it was always a dream for us to make anime. When we began this project, we were certain that we didn't want to make a recreation of the game. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is a standalone story set in the same universe. The stage is still Night City, but everything else is totally new. New characters, new story. I do like to think that it's going to be a great gateway for newcomers to come and check Cyberpunk game and also the Cyberpunk genre as a whole.
Yeah, because anime has never
Right
done
now
cyberpunk
we're in
before.
Nakano, which is one of the biggest anime meccas of the
I mean, they're talking about their, you know, specific cyberpunk TM.
Yeah, that is kind of unfortunate that your name is also the genre.
Apparently, I just did a quick Google. Apparently, it was already confirmed that Cyberpunk is working with the smart delivery thing for Xbox, so that was already known. And I guess Sony just worked something out with them to do the same shit.
今回はそのサイバーパンクという僕らが10代の、一ファンしか過ぎなかった頃に生まれたジャンル、そういうジャンルのものをまた、時代が何周もして作れるというの
A
が
lot of weebs in the chat, even though these are Japanese men.
10年ということで監督に
あいやいや。
キャラクターデザインに吉成というトリガーの最強の夫人で、トリガー10周年にふさわしい作品にしていきたいと思います。お楽しみに。
Ah, that looks good. I like the spine on the jacket. That's cool. Dead Space-esque.
Now it is time to show you some gameplay of
It's very weird that that's gonna come out like
you'll experience when you
after
play
the
Cyberpunk.
game's out.
That's why I said. That's why I was kind of taken aback at the 2022.
It's probably going to coincide with some DLC, and we'll probably see the main character.
Good idea, good idea.
A special device. After the gameplay, I will be welcoming back Pavel Sasko, and we'll also be joined by Patrick Mills, our senior quest designer and all-round lore master, who will be helping to answer your questions and give you some explanation.
There's supposedly a comic book in the works too I want to pick up. It's all about being one of the medevac doctors.
Hold on, we're gonna brain dance, dog.
Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out, and we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
And remember, everything on full blast. They'll spot us extra for a wicked adrenaline high. Okay.
Oh, this is like whatchamacallit.
BTLs.
Yes.
Everyone in chat is like, it's Octane. Octane poggers.
Down, everybody, on the ground. I want to see you kissing the flooring. Money, now, or I will fucking drop you. I swear to God. Well, yeah, hey, now, before I blow your fucking head off.
I'm gonna take this shitty Rubik's Cube too.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened. You're alive and well.
That was too much.
This is gonna be like the tapes from Resident Evil 7.
I feel the guy's pain, his stress, his hope. Hope wrapped up in something else.
Mm-hmm. Probably took a booster just before. You'll be fine. Got everything set up? Let's switch over to editing mode.
Ugh, frame died.
I'll sever the link to the BD Roller's sensory array. You'll be able to look around freely. Whole scene's yours. Full cam control in analysis mode, so move around.
This could be really awesome to like in-game do like
Think of it as your own little sandbox.
videos of even your own shit that you're doing.
Playback. Can even pause when you feel the need. Then you use the editor console to unpause.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out, and we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
Dream as hell, right? Well, that's not all. You can speed things up or rewind, whatever you like. Give it a try. Rewind, roll it back to the top.
Thematically, this makes no fucking sense, but that's okay.
Now try fast
Or logically, I should say. Thematically, it makes a lot of sense, but
Plan simple.
like if it's just recordings of the guy's head, how can you see like third person?
Set the recording.
I'd love to know the bullshit pseudoscience behind this.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get it.
He's got 360 sensor arrays over his body, so you can.
You get to view and even scan details of the enviro recorded by the BD roller. Focus on the heat, the gun this gonk gets from his buddy at the beginning. Now scan it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out.
Okay, right here.
Some guy in chat previewing a tutorial. Weird chant.
This tech records everything, every little detail, even the sights and sounds the roller was never aware of.
Yeah, okay. There's your bullshit explanation. It does it. Who knows?
Go ahead and try that now. Okay, good. Now you should see several sound signatures in the store. Choose one and hone in on it.
We're doing the uncrop right now.
Mm-hmm. This is enhance.
Uncrop. Enhance.
Pan. Zoom. Tone.
So, any thoughts?
Unbelievable. Seriously, like what's happening right next to me.
Yeah, it's how BD recording implants work. They pick up everything, all the elements in the background. Then an editor tweaks them, makes them pop. Keep playing with the sound, explore it a bit. We'll move on when you get bored.
We're gonna find out how he died.
So he literally does have a thing. I wasn't aware of that. That the whole point of this was that the guy has the implant in him, and they're recording the heist.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. It kind of makes sense.
Huh. Hella nice.
Scanning works on peeps too. Walk up to the wounded chick. Try scanning her. All right, next thing. Scroll forward to the part where
Status
our artist gets a
unconscious.
lead injection.
Or I will fucking drop you, I swear to God! Well, now, fucking head off!
See that? They shot him and he never saw it coming. But you will. Here it comes. My favorite part of the game. See the blinking thing over the entrance? Surveillance cam. Must have caught our shooter. You'll see in a sec. Cam feeds to the screen behind the clerk. Roll back to where the screen's in the kid's field of vision, then scan it.
I do like how it grays out things that the guy is not specifically looking at, because it's all the editor.
His own Chumba shot him. Probably planned to all along. Must have got a nice slice of cred on the black market for a BD like this. BD freaks are ready to pay a preem for a real flatline. Anyway, if you've seen enough...
It starts to make a little more sense when you realize that it's like a BTL thing and that someone like went in and edited it in post, and it's like, yeah, all right, I can kind of understand it.
Most of the BDs we do here are only good for flogging the log.
So braindance is a pretty big part of the cyberpunk universe. It's not just something used for adult films. There is an awful lot to it. And there's two sides I'd really like you guys to help me explore. First is the lore. So how this actually fits into the universe, and then there's the gameplay side, so how players will be interacting with it. So Patrick, could you tell us more about the lore of Braindance?
I would love to. So in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, Braindance was invented way back in the early 2000s at UC Santa Cruz. It was developed as a way of recording a person's experiences and then playing them back for someone else so that they could relive them as though it was happening to them. It was originally used for things like therapy and prisoner rehabilitation, but by 2077, it's become this global media industry, including things like movies, mass entertainment, things like that, video games, some interactive things, and of course, adult fare as well. Now, in our game, we deal a lot with black brain dances, or XBDs as we call them, and there are different types of those, but the one that you saw in the trailer just there was a flatliner. Now that's where the person recording it actually dies during the recording. And it's popular with sort of an illicit kind of a thrill, but a mercenary can also use them for various things, and you'll see that in the game, of course.
And from the gameplay perspective, we have been working a lot throughout last years.
Would you guys ever do that?
Figure out the best way of how to use braindance in the game
I think I would.
as a mechanics.
Yeah, probably not.
What we have settled on is this braindance editor mode. As a player, you will be able to run the braindance in the editor mode and see different clues that have been registered on the peripheral of given actor. Now, as a player, you can slide on the timeline of that recording back and forth, trying to uncover different clues. And that clues are actually telling a story in the game. So, as a player, you will run different investigations that will lead you to different mysteries, and you will uncover them actually using that braindance as a mechanics in the game.
So, as Pavel was saying, we use braindance as a storytelling tool. It's not a collectible. It's not something where you're going to go in and you're going to play it and you're going to be like, I've seen this before. What we use braindance for is to give you a keyhole into the life of the residents of Night City. And we can explore things like childhood trauma, religion, various philosophical ideas in a way that you might not otherwise experience in a story about a mercenary on the tough streets.
So we've tried to talk about some of the aspects that we think the community will find really exciting, but you know, while you're both here, I'd love to know.
That's like a free, easy way for like DLC, because you could just constantly churn those out.
So one of the things that I'm most excited
I guess. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't look like it's a really neat idea from a storytelling perspective to like put something like this into the game and they'll actually allow you to experience it. But it's clearly not very gameplay oriented.
Well, I think it could be, like that one wasn't.
I bet they're all going to be like that.
I would hope
I'm going to call it now. They're all going to be like that. You just you rewind or you go forward and you scan shit.
Again, I would kind of like a Resident Evil 7 tapes version of it.
I have a feeling what we just saw is going to be... He even kind of said it.
Yeah.
That he was like, you're not really going to go in and play it. You're just going to... It's like this. We're going to tell stories and put you in the shoes of the fucking NPCs of the setting. And try to explain to you what's going on here.
In his environment and in his dialogue. You know, we come up with that stuff even if we don't use it in the game because it helps inform us as to who these characters are.
And for me, I would not be myself if I would not say that I'm the most excited about our quests. Like with our Witcher 3 team, with Patrick and like everybody that has stayed with us since the Witcher 3 time, we really have grown so much. We have learned so much and we have used all that experience to put them into the quest that we have made. And you will not find really a filler in this game. Like everything has a meaning. Like we put so much effort into making sure that everything is rewarding, is interesting, is talking about characters, as Patrick said, is talking about worlds, is talking about emotions, like touching the player in a really, like a real way. And I just can't wait to find out what you think.
Pavel, I know you mentioned story and quests and writing quests, and when I was last in the studio, I had a look and I saw a notebook on your desk, and I would love for you to show everybody this notebook.
Okay, Holly, I mean, you asked for it. So this is my notebook.
I just happen to have it too.
Quest designer. The reason is because I dance salsa, and I'm a quest designer.
I had no idea you were going to ask me about it. I just happened to carry it everywhere.
Jesus Christ.
Starting Cyberpunk. At the very beginning, I wrote like a first note, and it says pretty much something along the lines of...
Oh, right, this is another language. I'm an asshole.
And then, you know, I kept on basically noting things that we've been working on.
Christ!
I was like, man, he has... No, I thought he had, like, doctor-level handwriting, you know? And then I was like, oh, this isn't American character. Yeah, it probably is both. It looks... I see a lot of crossed-out shit, too, so... But that's a writer for you.
Yeah, well, you may...
Look at the ink bleeding through the page. Good lord.
Yep.
This guy is...
That's a real gamer right there.
What a gamer.
The real gamer move, letting your ink bleed through the page.
Rise up, gamer.
Hashtag.
But before we do finish today's episode, there is just one more thing we'd like to talk about.
One more?
Earlier in this episode, I mentioned that media have been getting hands-on with the opening of Cyberpunk 2077, and they should be posting their impressions right about now. And if you missed anything from
big embargo lift live on stream.
And finally,
get very hype.
Everybody at CD Projekt Red, we just want to say say thank you so much for joining us for this, the very first episode of Night City Wire. But don't worry, we'll be back with episode 2 in just a few weeks. So,
A few weeks. A few weeks. November. God. Big butthole pucker when I saw that extra delay.
Wow, it just ended. It's just we're done.
Yep. That was it. It's done.
Alright.
25 minutes. That's it.
It weren't bad.
We got brain dance, I guess. We
Oh.
saw a tutorial, as someone in chat so aptly put it. They showed us a tutorial.
We showed a tutorial. We showed
The hype level.
Go ahead.
The hype levels for this game are such that showing a tutorial is a sizzle reel. Like, let's be real here.
I guess, to be completely honest, I wasn't even I don't know. I wasn't even gonna I kind of didn't want to watch this just because, like, when Anthony brought up recording it, I kind of like to black out on shit that I know I'm going to play and I'm excited for. So I guess I'm kind of almost happy that all they did was show us a tutorial. I didn't see a lot. I saw snippets of what we know or what I predicted was the intro just from that cinematic trailer. Seems like a pretty fucking lengthy intro.
Yeah, I think it's going to be multiple missions because even
I think it might just be one, but it looks like there's going to be lead up to it where it's like, look, go meet the guy whose name I can't recall off the top of my head and go hang out with him for like 5 minutes.
Nah, I think there's going to
Go
be a
meet
couple
the
of
dude.
missions because even in the trailers that we've seen, like, it's implied that they were doing stuff before they met the one black boss guy or potentially the corporal woman guy, and then that leads to the hotel thing, which that was the one where, at least for one version, I'm gonna imagine all versions, but at least one version is where Jackie gets shot in his eyes, and then you get betrayed and whatever. So I think it's gonna be multiple missions for like the prologue section because
that's big. I don't think there's any version of the tutorial where that guy doesn't die.
Yeah,
I think
I'm pretty
that's
sure.
like game setting. Also, I think if anything happens before any of that shit, it's going to be like brief tutorial stuff. Because even in that small snippet of gameplay, we saw you walk up to him in like a club or whatever and be like, hey, long time no see. And like that doesn't feel indicative to me of like you're going to go on adventures with him before the mission where he eats shit. If anything, it's going to be like small stuff.
Well, again, I
Like,
think
here's a
that's
very brief shooty tutorial. Here's a very brief example of conversation, and then you go meet the guy that gives you the big job, and then he dies, and it sets the stage for the whole game.
well, again, I'm basing it on the other trailer where it's like they do a mission and then they meet the big guy and then they do a mission for him that goes fine and then they do a mission for him that goes wrong. So there's going to be at least 3 and like a meetup scene. And I think that's important because if you don't have a couple missions like that, Jackie's death is going to really fall fucking flat. Like no one's going to care about this guy that I did one mission with, and like the first section was like, man, we are the best of friends and have been forever. You feel
I don't
this
disagree
emotion.
with you in that sense. I also think that it's going to be a lot of like, I think they're going to establish him in conversation a lot and like imply the shit that you did with him beforehand. And I don't think there's going to be like a fuckload that you do with him before that moment. There might be a little bit.
This game is shaping up to be the most maximalist video game out in decades.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think it's like, again, it's kind of like because like there are elements to it are that it's definitely, it has the potential, it looks dense, it looks like cheesecake dense, you know what I mean, where it's
might
like,
not be.
It's like Grand Theft Auto-ish where it's like
Mm-hmm.
there are also a bunch of TV stations and radio stations, and you could go to all these clubs and whatnot. Like there's a lot of filler, while also there's, you know, whatever this actual storyline is, and who knows how that's gonna turn out. But yeah,
I really hope there's a lot to do. I hope the game is dense. I think my biggest disappointment will be if this game comes out and it's relatively short and kind of light on content. Very flashy, looks nice and is fun to play, but like doesn't have a ton to do in it, that would suck. I would kind of hate that. I'm hoping for something quite grand. I would like a lot of side content to keep me busy for a fair amount of time.
Yeah. And I wonder,
But
like, they mentioned that brain dance stuff being part of whatever. But I wonder how much are there going to also be optional ones of that, or is it only like story ones and then that's it?
I would assume so. I bet there's going to be optional ones. I'm willing to call this now. I bet it's going to be almost similar to like audio logs in some other games where maybe you'll just find some of those sometimes and it'll be like, oh, when I'm off mission, I can like plug it in and I can experience it, you know, and they'll tell you a little like side story.
Yeah. You know what's a weird thing that I just thought of now is that I hope that there's like kind of maybe procedurally generated, but just like filler quests. Because yeah, a big problem I could see with this game is that like you beat it and then maybe you play it again as like more of a hackery guy instead of a shooty guy or a melee guy. But if the story is like really important, if it's not too branchy, like I don't know, it'll be rough to slog through an RPG again. So I hope that there's just like, as much as it's filler and it kind of sucks, there's a retrieve the blank from the XYZ mission that you could just always keep taking and kind of like grind. Just because, yeah, the little bit of the gameplay from the previous reveal and now with the chips and now that there's different areas like big desert thing, being able to, even when you're done, to keep playing in that with whatever build you like and stuff like that will probably be a good thing.
I would be shocked, especially having seen the outer limits of the city, so to speak, and shit just now, if there wasn't like a fair amount of weird random side shit to do. I don't know about like procedurally generated, but I think my biggest concern is I hope this game, if it's more like a Deus Ex or even like a Witcher style of RPG where it's like here's the quests, right? You do the things and you do them all until you're done, right? I just hope that like all of that content has like various different ways I can go about solving those problems so that on a potential replay, I don't just feel like I'm doing the same shit again.
Right.
You know what I mean? I hope my build and my decisions makes enough of a difference through the course of my playthrough that I could talk to someone else who's playing the game and we could both have two like very different not opinions isn't right, but experiences with like a quest because
Right,
we solved it in two completely different ways, or we had a conversation that went in a completely different way, and maybe one of us didn't even know. And I hope that's obviously that's going to be the case, right? For some, I assume a fair amount of the content in this game, but I hope it's like that, like all the way through, right up until the end, so that I could feasibly play it 2 times, 3 times, and like have a different experience.
Or at the very worst, like you have those water cooler conversations, you know, where it's like, yeah, oh, I did this. Oh, you did that. That's cool. Blah blah blah. Oh, I didn't know you could do that, or you could solve that quest that way. You know, all that type of shit.
Excited, man. I was a little bummed out when I saw the delay this like past week for November, but if it's necessary so the game isn't a debacle, then obviously it's fine. But I want it.
Yep.
I want it sooner rather than later. I'm gonna now for the next 5 months, my asshole's puckered for that 2021 pushback.
I mean, wasn't it already announced?
No, it's in. What do you mean? It got delayed to November.
Okay.
So yeah, not yet. I bet you they really don't want to push it past Christmas, like super bad.
No, of course, bro. They want this game to come out. They want this game to come out November tops because they want it to be out before the new consoles.
Yeah, that too.
100%. But Who knows?
You know, the world half ending, kind of. You know.
Have
put a
they
damper-
even put out like PC system requirements for this game yet?
Let me see the
Yeah, I
Steam
think they
page.
have. I just barely scrape into the minimums from what I saw.
I don't see them on Steam.
Nah, yeah.
I don't see them on Steam at all.
Okay, let's see. 18th of June 2020. Specs reviewed. Win 7. This is minimum. i5 2500K. Wow, that's old. R9 380 or a 960. 2 gigs VRAM, 8 gigs system memory, 70 gigs storage. Recommended i5 4670K, GeForce GTX 1070, 6 gigs of VRAM, 16 gig system storage or RAM, and then storage is still 70 gigs.
Yeah, I mean it looks fine. My big I was sure was hoping that this newfangled video game wouldn't be like, hey, you must have DirectX 12.
I think my system is quite literally the recommended requirements. Because technically I have a 980, but that's basically equivalent to a 1070. And then I have 16 gigs. I think I have 6 gigs of VRAM. And
Yeah,
then I have an i5 4690K, so I just barely eke that out.
These requirements are a lot milder than I was kind of expecting, to be honest.
Well, but that's recommended.
Looks nice.
It's not like that's not going to be playing it on Ultra or anything like that.
Yeah, sure, but that's still, I don't know.
Like I said before, I barely scrape over the minimums.
Also, apparently for the system benchmark on that 1060, we're looking at 49 FPS, so you're not even hitting 60.
All right,
and that's the recommended.
I know my computer will handle it. I was just concerned. I was concerned about like OS. Warzone's got me on edge, man. I'm concerned. Like, what's the next game that's gonna be like, nah, fucker, you must have Windows 10.
Yeah, I'm glad.